What's up, tribe? Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. Today's post is titled Here and Now. Me, Space and Time. Perhaps the most fascinating duality of all, and the strangest in turn. Our life is linked to space in a direct way, and to time in an indirect way, which conditions our life almost as if it were space itself. But even so, we all know that these two concepts exist. Most do not know or do not know what they really are and how they support each other. And in turn, something catches my attention. The concept so often mentioned lately, here and now. It is as if suddenly many people had woken up to understand that the most important thing is to live in the present, because it is the only thing over which we have control and awareness. Therefore, we have no choice but to live it. But I don't feel like that then. I am. Well, this probably eliminates the idea of such duality from the beginning. Time comes from the Indo-European tem, which means to stretch, to extend. Space comes from the Indo-European spau, which means to pull, to pull. Me, wait, do they mean the same thing? I am, yes. Me, but then why do we take them as different and dual things to each other? I am, because one stretches on one side negatively, and the other stretches towards the other positively. But both are the forces that stretch reality, that expand it. Me, it makes sense like this. I am. In your conception of time, it is related to what happens. What happens, time, then, is a unit of measurement of facts that helps to order concepts that can only be understood from the mind, but not from reality. Me, in what way? I am. Is it possible to measure the past? Is there anything that allows you to touch on what really happened? Me, if I touch bones or an ancient monument, would it be like touching the past? I am. If you touch it, it is present. It simply means that there is a bone there, and that the monument is a rock. You call him person and monument, but they're not. The past, as such, does not exist from the point of view of space, not the future, since they are not countable by physics, nor is there anything that assures you in the five senses that what you touch is past, because the senses can only perceive the present. Me, what about memory? For example, I remember my childhood and my taste feels the taste, or my nose feels the aroma. I am, feel. For your cells, that is not memory. It is present because they are feeling it. Only you, in your mind, know that this is not happening. Me, it seems complex to understand. I am. But it's actually very easy. Everything you perceive in the world is due to a reaction in your senses. In other words, for your senses there is nothing outside until it is interpreted inside by the connections it makes in the brain. If your brain generates a reaction, well, your senses will be the ones that will interpret that idea in the present. Therefore, the past is just a concept. You divide time into a sacred trinity that you call past, present, and future. This trinity is conceptual, since what it does is describe three aspects of a space: what is expressed, what is experienced, and what is projected. But in each case, there will only be a single thing in transformation. Therefore, there will be nothing in the past or in the future, because the only thing you can perceive now is simply what is, and nothing else. The rest are just interpretations of the intelligent mind. A mineral, a plant, an insect, and most animals cannot interpret the time of things, only space, what is, what they feel and perceive, without more. Me, and in what constitutes what they perceive. I am in space. He himself also has his sacred trinity, which you call tall, wide, and deep. This defines the law of the third dimension. That is why it is called third, because it is composed of three dimensions of space, that is, extensions of a reality in which one can move. Dimension comes from the Latin di and mettere, which mean two and measure, respectively. That is, measure the parts of something. Thus, the third dimension would be to measure the three directions of an object. Those three directions, in turn, in the third dimension, will express themselves in the three times. This is how you understand that the three times and three spaces are nothing more than two forces stretching the same object, forcing it to transform. Me. But how would time be a force if it really doesn't exist, as you say? I am. Let's first look at it from human vision. Your life is giving through time, and everything you do is related to it. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, solstices, and equinoxions, years, lustrums, decades, centuries, ages, millennia, ages, periods, all calculated by the movement of the sun, the moon, the stars, the change of the climate. But yesterday we said that it is not the sky that moves, but the earth. That is to say, that what you consider passage of time is based on the concept that things pass through the sky to measure the moments. Without, however, by not moving, then, the only thing that determines the time is you, from your perception of movement, of something that is really static. Old age, the deterioration of a body, is not due to the passage of time, but to the expansion of its cells. The division of the same begins to run out, losing the ability to multiply, and that produces death. In reality, time never passed. It just happened that the cells stopped multiplying. The days and nights do not mark the passage of real time, but show the process of Earth's rotation. The seasons do not change by time, but by the movement of the planetary axis in its periods of translation and precession. The hours are calculated. The light that affects a territory of the planet in its rotation process. As you will see, all concepts of time that you can have depend absolutely on the capacity of the space to move. There are just ideas, ways of naming the physical processes that happen. Me. But we have spoken that space is also a construction. That is actually, it is also a perception, right? I am. Exactly. Space is nothing more than the harmonic or distorted interaction of vibrations that generates energy. And this, in turn, gives rise to particles that will be arranged in a coherent way to save energy. In other words, space is nothing more than the distorted expansion of a pulse. Both space and time are summarized as those two elastic concepts that expand the universal mind to experience processes. The paradox of this duality is that the only reason why matter expands is because of the need to live a process. Therefore, it is in a certain way time that originates space. Time is equal to nothing, to the creative matrix network, which projects ideas, thoughts, plans, where everything is possible. And from this awareness, the vibration that unites thoughts arises, thus giving rise to the creation of space. Space is directly related to time, since it is its creator. Time being that inner world that projects to the outer world that will end up being space. Me, it's a Ouroboros. But if you say that time creates space, but space is the only thing that makes us perceive time, then what is the meaning of this duality? I am order. It is a way that the mind orders the internal and the external. The human concept of time is not what time really is. As I told you, the only existing concept is the elastic mind, stretching its connections, expanding them like ropes. Me, string theory. Time and space are nothing more than strings that tighten and loosen, creating the perceptions of everything that exists. But they are the same. I am. Just like beyond the genitals, a man and a woman share the same genes. Dual concepts are mere expressions, nothing else. Me. So what is real between the two? I am. Eternity. There are those who know this as eternal present. The only way to be able to mention the strings that manifest all space and time is the concept here and now. Me. But it's not related to the present, is it? I am. No, that is a misconception. The present is one of the three conceptual times that is also non existent. Many humans consider that the phrase here and now summarizes the fact that nothing exists or matters more than what happens right now and where I am. This is actually called presentism. Presentism. This concept implies that one detaches from the universal consciousness to live only from the perception of the ego. It is a time space self reference that is based on the personality and the individual's perception of the reality that he has projected, when in reality it is much more complex than that. Yesterday, we mentioned that the universe is a circle that becomes a point and a point that becomes a circle, and that observation is the only thing that is real, since observed and observer are the two polarized ends of an expression. That observation, that void, that single mind, then, inhabits all possible spaces while being fixed, and lives all possible processes without the need to move. Here is the idea of the universe that summarizes all existing places. And now is the concept of the universe that summarizes all possible moments. Me. So saying here would be like recognizing that my existence is not only found in this place where I am, but that all places inhabit me. All places, continents, worlds, galaxies, all in the I am, coexist as one. And now would imply that past, present, and future merge with each other, making me at this moment a conjunction of all possible processes. I am. When you leave one of the extremes, both from the vision of time and from the vision of space, that is, when you transcend the duality of the observed and the observer to become the observation, and space and time become the words ethereal and eternal, you realize that both arise from expanding the ether. Ether comes from the Indo European either, which means to burn, and describes the process in which fire, by burning things, shows its true essence hidden in it, nothingness itself, since everything disappears. This idea is that the pure is invisible to the eyes, that things are composed of immeasurable existences, and that therefore they cannot be dimensioned, only multidimensional. Thus, you understand that the here and now remind you that you are only the flexible mind of the cosmos, stretching, twisting its strings. Me, it's a very big image. It's so complex that I am. We should have summarized it in something very easy. Here and now. Me. So finding the balance of everything, of all things that we have talked about this month. It's simply to remember that we are a point, a center, expanding in circles through the process of infinite and eternal observation, which stretches and extends in two primary concepts that we call here and now, and that in experimentation we will interpret as space and time. I am, that's right. Therefore, when you seek the balance between all things, simply remember that you are all things. Me, I am here and now.